Have you ever heard of a war where 50,000 soldiers completely annihilated a massive imperial army of 150,000? Today, we take you back to 636 AD, to the banks of the Yarmouk River, where the fate of the world was decided. On one side stood the Byzantine Empire, a superpower with centuries of military tradition, heavy armor, and overwhelming numbers. On the other side were the Muslims, a rising force from the desert, outnumbered 5-1. On paper, this was supposed to be a slaughter, but as the sun rose over the Yarmouk plateau, one man was about to rewrite the rules of warfare. This is the story of how Khalid ibn al-Walid, the sword of Allah, orchestrated the most brilliant tactical victory in military history. Before a single sword was drawn, Khalid had already begun winning. He strategically chose the Yarmouk plateau for a specific reason. The terrain was surrounded on three sides by deep, treacherous ravines and the rugged peaks of the Golan Heights. By drawing the massive Roman army into this confined space, Khalid neutralized their greatest advantage, their size. In such a narrow area, the Romans were cramped. They couldn't deploy their full force at once. They were essentially stepping into a funnel. Khalid knew that in a crowded battlefield, chaos is the greatest enemy of a large army, and he intended to use that chaos to his advantage. As the battle raged for 6 grueling days, the Romans launched wave after wave of attacks, but Khalid had a secret weapon hidden behind his lines, the mobile guard. This was an elite unit of 4,000 veteran cavalrymen kept in reserve. Khalid's plan was a masterclass in active defense. Whenever the Romans breached a part of the Muslim line, Khalid would lead the mobile guard and strike like a lightning bolt, plugging the gap and pushing the Romans back. This highly mobile force allowed him to be everywhere at once, making his 50,000 men seem like 200,000 to the confused Roman generals. By the 6th day, the Roman army was exhausted. Their morale was shattered by the relentless desert sun and the frustration of being unable to break the Muslim lines. This was the moment Khalid was waiting for. He transitioned from a defensive posture to a full-scale offensive. He noticed a gap between the Roman cavalry and their infantry. In a daring move, he launched his cavalry to drive a wedge between them. Once the Roman horsemen were chased off the field, the 100,000 Roman infantrymen were left completely unprotected. They were no longer an army. They were a panicked mass of men. The final act was a nightmare for the Byzantine Empire. Khalid's forces pressed the Romans from the front and flanks, leaving them only one way to go, backward. But behind them lay the deep ravines of the Wadi Rukad. In the blinding dust and absolute panic, thousands of Roman soldiers fell to their deaths over the cliffs. The defeat was total. The Byzantine rule in the Middle East was over forever. Khalid ibn al-Walid proved that victory isn't about how many men you have, but how you use them. He remains one of the few generals in history never to have lost a single battle.